You're probably used to creating animations by using keyframes, but let's take a look at how we can use procedural animation techniques to drive our animations. So as always, this project file will be available on Patreon. If you want to grab it, you can do so in there. Let's go ahead and drop down a stop create, and we can dive inside. And I'm just going to change our frame range as well to be 180, just so that things kind of loop here in a moment. Now I'm going to drop down an add node, and I'm going to create one point there. I'm also going to drop down a sphere and a copy 2 points. And we're going to use this to visualize what's actually happening with our geometry. Let's come in here. Let's maybe drop that scale down a little bit. Now I'm going to drop down an attribute wrangle. This first animation, or like this first way of animating, is going to be very easy to do inside of a transform node as well. But we're going to show Vex because I'm going to be using Vex for a couple of other things here. So let's affect our Y position. So do at p.y, and we're going to set that equal to, and then we're going to be using some math functions to drive these effects. In this case, I'm going to use the sine function, and like I said, we're going to use math functions to drive this, but that's something that you're going to need to get used to and just get comfortable with if you're going to be animating using procedural methods, because math functions are going to kind of drive all of this. So we'll do sine, and then you can see that this takes a value called n, and then where n is in radians. So we need to actually convert what we're going to be using, which is our frame, into radians. So we'll use the radians function and do at frame with a capital F. That's how we access the frame number in Vex. And now I can press play, and you can see that we get this type of an effect. I'm going to go ahead and turn on that real-time toggle, and we get this type of effect going on. Now we can affect this in a couple of different ways. I can go ahead and multiply this by 2. You can see how that is going to affect it. It's going to translate that down to the -1 range now too as well, and all the way back up to 1. If we want this to just kind of ping pong back and forth between 0 and 1, we can take the absolute value of this. And now we have this animation that's kind of bouncing like a ball on a surface where it just kind of shoots back up. So this is kind of the basis of everything. Let's go ahead and take a look at some linear animation and then move on to some smoothing. So let's take this add node. I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to drop down a transform just to show kind of how this looks. So I'm going to take the first frame, I'm going to keyframe this, and then I'm going to move to 180, and I'm going to keyframe here. And if I look at this now, you can see that we're getting this just linear animation, or actually it's not linear yet. We need to change this. It's got some smoothing on this. So let's come over to our animation editor. We can select our keyframes and change this to linear. Now we have this nice, just even movement between the keyframes. So now we have an even movement every single frame. And if we wanted to replicate this inside of Vex or with some procedural methods, it's really, really easy to do. Make a copy of that. We just need to take our Y position, and we're going to set that equal to at frame, and then we can divide this by whatever we want in order to slow it down. So let's take this and wire this into our copy to points, press play, actually rewind and press play. And you can see now this is moving in the same type of manner that we had before. But as soon as you want to have any sort of smoothing, things get a little bit more complex. So let's take this again and make a copy of it. And in this case, I'm going to take all this and clear it out. So we're going to take a attribute, we're going to create an attribute called time, or in this case, I'm just going to call it T. And we're going to set that equal to, and we're going to fit our current frame between 0 and whatever we want, or whenever we want the animation to end. So I'm going to use a channel float, or sorry, a channel integer. We'll call this frame end, just so we have a slider that we can edit to change this whenever we want, so we don't have to dive into the code. And then we want to fit this between 0 and 1. And the reason that we want to do that is because we're going to take this and we're going to actually use this in a lerp to move between values. I'm going to take this now. I'm going to wire this just into our copy to points, and I'm going to create our spare parameter there. And we can set this to something like 60 so that we can have this value go between 0 and 1 at frame 60. You can see this t value is up to 1, and then past that it just stays at 1. So let's take that and then let's create our bias for our lerp. So we'll create a float called bias. We're going to set that equal to, and then we can use the smooth function. So the first value we're going to use in here, it's going to take 3 values. So we're going to use 0 to 1, and then we'll do f at t. So we'll pipe in our time value, and then we'll just use the y position to demonstrate this. So at p.y is equal to lerp, and we're going to move between a value of 0 and 1 using the bias that we just made. So now if I go back to frame 1, press play, you can see that we have this animation with some smoothing on the back end. So it's going to kind of ease into that final value there. So let's take a look at this in a situation that's going to be a little bit more something you might actually do. So let's drop down a sphere again, and I'm going to come into our attribute wrangle, and instead of setting this equal to at p.y, we're going to create our own attribute. So at not scale, but z scale, because we're going to wire this into a poly extrude just as a demonstration here. So let's come back in here, and you can see that we're creating this z-scale attribute, but every single one is the same. And we actually don't want this on the points, but we want this on the primitives. So let's move this over to the primitives. We still have that same value, so we don't want that. So let's multiply this by a fit. So we're going to do fit 01. We'll do random, and then we'll do at prim num. And we're going to fit that. It's already from 0 to 1, so we'll fit that to maybe like 0.3 to something like 4 or something. You can always come back and change that later. Now we have some random values for this, so we can come in and drop down a poly extrude. I can set this distance up to a value of 1. Let's set this to individual elements, and we can come into local control and just enable that distance scale. Now, if I just play this, you can see that we get this nice animation with some smoothing from frame 1 to frame 60. And if we want to change that around, we want this to go slower or faster, we can come in here. Let's go to like, I don't know, 180. And now we have this type of an animation going on. So we can always come in here and just procedurally change that, and everything updates super, super quickly. You don't have to mess around with keyframes. Personally, I hate using keyframes because they're kind of a pain in the butt to move around, but this gives us a nice little option to animate things as well. So this is kind of the basis of how we can go about using procedural animation techniques to drive some animations. So hopefully you learned something from this. Play around with these different things. Like I said, get used to the math functions because you're going to be using those a lot to generate these type of effects. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and have a good day.